see here, share my screen. I just started the recording as well. That way, anybody who needs to listen to this later can always go back and listen to it again. Maybe if I can hit the share screen button. There we go. All right. So today, two things we want to talk about today is stamina and perseverance. Does anybody know what either of those words means? Raise your hand if you can tell me what the word stamina or perseverance mean. Ania, go for it.
Stamina means like you're giving like stamina to everybody, like stamina, like your stamina.
So I'm going to add to that a little bit. Stamina means that you're able to do something for a long time, right? So this is being able to read a longer text and then being able to write and share a longer answer. All right, perseverance. Anybody want to, you see, I saw your hand up. Do you want to talk about perseverance? No? Maybe? Okay, Clay, I saw your hand up. Do you want to talk about perseverance?
No, I just wanted to talk about stamina.
Anybody else? Perseverance, going once, going twice. Okay, so perseverance is when even if something's hard and challenging, you're able to tough it, push through it, be tough, and get on to the next thing and still get it completed. So knowing today that this is a pre-assessment, do you think I'm expecting everything in your answers to be perfect, that you're going to get 100% on these questions? No, right? It's the first time you've done them. It's the first time we've done anything like this year. All I want to see is, can you read it? Excuse me. And can you do your best to persevere through the difficult questions? To make things a little bit easier, we've actually taken 4 questions. We've broken them down into 2 days. So today you're only going to be responsible for 2 questions. All right. So our goal is to show our understanding of characters in a story for the lesson today. So really understanding the characters that are in a story, and being able to describe characters in questions. And so we're going to read Papa's Parrot by Cynthia Ryland. All right, I'm actually going to read this story out loud to you. I'm also going to put it up on the screen. So if you can see it, I know it's kind of a little bit small, but if you can try to read along, great. If not, you can just stop and listen. This story will be posted on Canvas too. There are some silly parts in this story, so it's okay to laugh and that at those different silly parts. All right, so the story starts. Papa's Parrot by Cynthia Ryland. Though his father was fat and merely owned a candy and nut shop, Harry Tillion liked his papa. Harry stopped liking candy and nuts when he was around 7, but in spite of this, he and Mr. Tillion had remained friends and were still friends the year Harry turned 12. For years after school, Harry had always stopped in to see his father at work. Many of Harry's friends stopped there too, to spend a few cents choosing penny candy from the giant bins or to sample Mr. Tillion's latest batch of roasted peanuts. Mr. Tillion looked forward to seeing his son and his son's friends every day. He liked the company. When Henry entered junior high school, though, he didn't come by the candy and nut shop as often, nor did his friends. They were older and they had more spending money. They went to a burger place. They played video games. They shopped for records. None of them were much interested in candy and nuts anymore. A new group of children came to Mr. Tillion's shop now, but not Harry Tillion and his friends. The year Harry turned 12 was also the year Mr. Tillion got a parrot. He went to a pet store one day and bought one for more money than he could really afford. He brought the parrot to his shop, set its cage near the sign for maple clusters, and named it Rocky. Harry thought this was the strangest thing his father had ever done, and he told him so, but Mr. Tillion just ignored him. Rocky was good company for Mr. Tillion. When business was slow, Mr. Tillion would turn on a small color television sitting in a corner, and he and Rocky would watch the soap operas. Rocky liked to scream when the romantic music came on, and Mr. Tillion would yell at him to shut up, but they seemed to enjoy themselves. The more Mr. Tillion grew to like his parrot, and the more he talked to it instead of people, the more embarrassed Harry became. Harry would stroll past the shop on his way to somewhere else, and he'd take a quick look inside to see what his dad was doing. Mr. Tillion was always talking to the bird, so Harry kept walking. At home, things were different. Harry and his father joked with each other at the dinner table, and as they always had. Mr. Tillion teasing Harry about his smelly socks, Harry teasing Mr. Tillion about his blubbery stomach, and at home things seemed all right. But one day Mr. Tillion became ill. He had been at work unpacking boxes of caramels when he grabbed his chest and fallen over on top of the candy. The customer had found him, and he was taken to the hospital in an ambulance. Mr. Tillion couldn't leave the hospital, and he lay in bed, tubes in his arms, and he worried about his shop. New shipments of candy and nuts would be arriving. Rocky would be hungry. Who would take care of these things? Harry said he would. Harry told his father that he would go to the store every day after school and unpack boxes. He would sort out all the candy and nuts. He would even feed Rocky. So the next morning, while Mr. Tillion lay in his hospital bed, Harry took the shop key to the school with him. After school, he left his friends and walked to the empty shop alone. In all the days of his life, Harry had never seen the shop closed after school. Harry didn't even remember what the closed sign looked like. The key stuck in the lock 3 times, and inside he had to search all the walls for a light switch. The shop was as his father had left it. Even the caramels were still spilled on the floor. Harry bent down and picked them up one by one, dropping them back into the boxes. The bird in its cage watched him silently. Harry opened the new boxes his father hadn't gotten to: peppermints, jawbreakers, toffee cream, strawberry kisses. Harry traveled from bin to bin, putting the candies where they belonged. Hello! Harry jumped, spilling the box of jawbreakers. Hello, Rocky. Harry stared at the parrot. He had forgotten it was there. The bird had been so quiet, and Harry had been thinking only of the candy. Hello, Harry said. Hello, Rocky, answered the parrot. Harry walked slowly over to the cage. The parrot's food cup was empty. The water was dirty, and the bottom of the cage was a mess. Harry carried the cage into the back room. Hello, Rocky. Is that all you can say, you dumb bird? Harry mumbled. The bird said nothing else. Harry cleaned the bottom of the cage, refilled the food and water cups, and then put the cage back in its place and resumed sorting the candy. Where's Harry? Harry looked up. Where's Harry? Harry stared at the parrot. Where's Harry? Chills ran down Harry's back. What could the bird mean? It was like something from the Twilight Zone. Where's Harry? Harry swallowed and said, I'm here, you stupid bird. You stupid bird, said the parrot. Well, at least he's got one thing straight, thought Harry. Miss him. Where's Harry, you stupid bird? Harry stood with a handful of peppermints. What? He asked. Where's Harry, said the parrot. I'm here, you stupid bird. I'm here, Harry yelled. He threw the peppermints at the cage, and the bird screamed and clung to its perch. Harry sobbed. I'm here. The tears were coming. Harry leaned over the glass counter. Papa. Harry buried his face in his arms. Where's Harry? Repeated the bird. Harry sighed and wiped his face on his sleeve. He watched the parrot, and he understood him now. Someone had been saying for a long time, Where's Harry? I miss him. Harry finished his unpacking, then swept the floor of the shop. He checked the furnace so the bird wouldn't get cold. Then he left to go visit his papa. All right, that's the end of the story. So your job here in a minute, when we log off the Zoom, is going to be to go onto Canvas, and I'll show you how to get there, and go to Tuesday's reading, and you're going to answer the 2 questions to the best of your ability, okay? And these answers should be longer than 1 sentence, okay? Some of you guys in writing yesterday when you told stories were saying 1 or 2 sentences. These answers to these questions should be more than just 1 or 2 sentences, okay? So I'm going to open up. I'm going to show you how to get to where we're going and what it looks like. I'm going to go to Canvas. Log in like normal. You're going to go to Hoffman's Heroes. You're going to click on Tuesday and reading. And then pre-assessment question 1 is right here. All right, and it's got the text. You can actually zoom in if you need to on your screen to see it, or you can go back and rewatch. I'm going to upload in just a minute the recording of me reading it. You can also click here to listen to the story, okay? So if you want to listen to it again, you can click play, all right? And there's a recording of Miss Kleinsmith reading it.
Papa's.
Okay. So it says, what kind of person is Mr. Tillion? Remember, he's the shop owner. It says, show what you know about the character. It's complicated, more than 1 trait. So it's not just saying to describe him what he looks like physically, but also what kind of person he is and how he feels, all right? So your first question is, what kind of person is Mr. Tillion? Then if you go back, your second question, just like before, if you need to hear the story read aloud again, you can play and it'll read it again, is reread the lines below. These lines represent a turning point for Harry. How did Harry change from the beginning to the end of the story, and why? Okay, so it's got a little section of the text. You can reread it, talk about why that's important and how Harry has changed from the beginning to the story to the end of the story. All right, so that's your job when we log off. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.